Welcome to Sarah Wood's Tale, where stories comes alive. Please do well to hit that subscription button and turn on your notification bell for subsequent stories. The city of Lagos buzzed with life, the streets alive with the sound of honking cars and people moving about their daily routines. But in the midst of the chaos, inside a luxurious penthouse overlooking the skyline, Henry and Mercy Williams were enjoying a quiet evening together. Mercy, a 28-year-old lawyer, sat curled up on the plush white couch, a glass of wine in her hand. She watched her husband, Henry, as he worked on his laptop at the dining table. He was a man of strong features, tall, broad-shouldered, with deep brown eyes that always held warmth when he looked at her. "Henry," she called softly. He looked up, smiling. "Yes, my love. Can't you take a break? You've been staring at that screen for hours." Henry chuckled and stretched. "I know, but this deal with Carter Enterprises needs to be finalized by tomorrow. John has been pushing me to wrap it up quickly." Mercy sighed. "John again? I don't know, Henry. I feel like he puts too much pressure on you." Henry frowned slightly but shook his head. "John's my best friend, Mercy. He just wants what's best for the company. Besides, once this deal is done, I promise I'll take a break. Maybe a weekend getaway for just the two of us." Mercy's eyes lit up. "Really?" He stood up, walked over, and pulled her into his arms. "Really? You've been so patient with my crazy work schedule. You deserve a treat." She smiled, resting her head against his chest. "Then I forgive you for ignoring me all evening." They laughed together, lost in their love. Across town, John Carter sat in his dimly lit office, a glass of whiskey in his hand. His eyes were dark with envy as he scrolled through Mercy's Instagram page. Picture after picture of her and Henry, smiling, happy, successful. It made his blood boil. John had known Henry since they were teenagers. They had started their business together, but Henry had always been the one in the spotlight. Henry had the brains, the charm, the perfect wife. John clenched his jaw. "It should have been me." He threw back the whiskey and grabbed his phone. A plan had been forming in his mind for weeks, and now, it was time to set it in motion. He dialed a number. "Hello." A woman's voice answered. "It's time," John said coldly. "Are you ready?" There was a pause, then a soft chuckle. "Of course. I know exactly what to do." John smirked. "Good. Let's destroy Henry's perfect little life." It was a bright Saturday afternoon when Mercy's world started to crack. She was at a cafe with her best friend, Lucy Adams, enjoying their usual weekend gossip session. The cafe was cozy, filled with the rich aroma of coffee and the gentle hum of conversations. "So, when is Henry taking you on that trip?" Lucy asked, sipping her cappuccino. "Soon, hopefully. He's still busy with work, but I trust him," Mercy said with a smile. Lucy raised an eyebrow. "You're lucky. Not many men are as devoted as Henry." Before Mercy could respond, a woman approached their table. She was tall, with long dark hair, and a confident smirk on her face. She carried a baby in her arms. "Excuse me, are you Mercy Williams?" the woman asked. Mercy frowned. "Yes, I am. Can I help you?" The woman chuckled, adjusting the baby in her arms. "Actually, I think I can help you." Lucy gave the woman a wary look. "And who are you?" "My name is Diana Smith," the woman said. "And this," she gestured to the baby, "is Henry's son." The words hit Mercy like a slap. She blinked, trying to process what she had just heard. "Excuse me," she whispered. Diana sat down across from her, completely unbothered. "Henry and I have been seeing each other for a while now. This little guy here is proof of that." Lucy gasped. "That's a serious accusation. Do you have any proof?" Diana smirked and pulled out her phone. "I thought you might ask." She slid the phone across the table. Mercy hesitated before picking it up. What she saw made her stomach churn. There were pictures, Henry at what looked like a hotel, text messages exchanged between him and Diana, and even a blurry photo of Henry with the baby. Her hands started to shake. No. This can't be. Oh, it is, Diana said smugly. I was content keeping quiet, but I think you deserve to know the truth. You've been living a lie, Mercy. Tears welled in Mercy's eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She stood up abruptly, nearly knocking over her chair. Come on, Lucy. We're leaving. Lucy grabbed her purse, glaring at Diana. You better hope you're lying. Diana just smiled. I don't need to lie. The truth is painful enough. Mercy stormed into their penthouse that evening, her heart pounding. Henry was in the kitchen, humming as he prepared dinner. He turned with a smile when he saw her. Hey, love. You're home early. Who is Diana Smith? Mercy cut him off, her voice trembling. Henry frowned. Diana Smith. I don't know a Diana Smith. Liar. Mercy threw the phone onto the counter. The pictures, the messages, all of it stared back at him. Henry picked up the phone, his face darkening as he scrolled through the images. Mercy, I swear, I have no idea what this is. So you're saying it's fake? Mercy's voice broke. Yes. Henry ran a hand through his hair. I don't know this woman. I've never met her before in my life. Mercy let out a bitter laugh. Oh, so someone just magically faked all these messages and photos. That's exactly what I'm saying. Henry's voice rose in frustration. Someone is trying to frame me, Mercy. You have to believe me. Mercy shook her head, stepping back. I don't know what to believe anymore. Mercy, look at me. Henry grabbed her hands. I love you. You are my world. I would never cheat on you. Tears spilled down Mercy's cheeks. Then why does this feel so real? Henry sighed, his grip tightening. Because someone wants to break us apart. Across town, John Carter sat in his car, watching the lights in Henry's penthouse. He could imagine the fight happening inside. He smiled to himself, satisfied. Phase 1 of his plan was complete. Now, all he had to do was push Mercy over the edge. Enjoy your last moments of happiness, Henry, John whispered. Because soon, everything you love will be gone. The night after Mercy's confrontation with Henry was the longest of her life. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her heart torn between love and betrayal. The pictures, the text messages, the smirking face of Diana Smith, all of it haunted her. Henry had denied everything, but could she trust him? The evidence was overwhelming. And if he had lied about this, what else had he been lying about? Morning came too soon. Mercy had barely slept, and her mind was made up. If Henry thought he could humiliate her like this, he had another thing coming. Mercy walked into the police station with her best friend, Lucy, by her side. The air inside was cold, the walls lined with faded posters about justice and crime prevention. The officer at the front desk looked up as she approached. Good morning, How can I help you? Mercy took a deep breath, her voice steady. I want to report my husband, Henry Williams, for fraud and adultery. The officer's eyebrows lifted slightly. That's a serious accusation. Do you have evidence? Mercy pulled out her phone and handed it over. I have proof, messages, photos, hotel receipts. He's been unfaithful, and I believe he has been using company funds to finance his affair. Lucy shot her a worried glance. Mercy, are you sure about this? Maybe you should think it through. I've thought about it, Mercy interrupted, her tone sharp. I won't let him get away with this. The officer studied the evidence for a moment before nodding. All right, We'll take your statement and open an investigation immediately. Mercy's heart pounded as she signed the necessary documents. There was no turning back now. Later that evening, Henry was at his office when the door burst open. Mr. Henry Williams, a firm voice called. Henry looked up to see two uniformed police officers stepping into his office. His assistant, Mark, stood behind them, looking anxious. Yes, that's me, Henry said, standing up. What's going on? You are under arrest for fraud and adultery. Please place your hands behind your back." Henry's jaw dropped. What? This has to be a mistake. One of the officers stepped forward and pulled out a pair of handcuffs. "Sir, we have evidence and a formal complaint filed against you by your wife, Mercy Williams." Henry's heart sank. Mercy did this. "Sir, don't make this difficult. Turn around." Henry looked at Mark, who appeared just as stunned as he was. "Call my lawyer," Henry instructed him before turning around, allowing the officers to cuff him. As they led him out of the office, he felt the stares of his employees. Whispers spread like wildfire. Henry Williams, the respected businessman, was being arrested. The police station was cold and unforgiving. Henry sat in the interrogation room, his hands resting on the metal table in front of him. Across from him sat Detective Paul Johnson, a seasoned officer with sharp eyes that seemed to see right through people. "Mr. Williams, let's cut to the chase," Paul said. "Your wife has presented strong evidence that you have been unfaithful and that you misused company funds for personal expenses. What do you have to say for yourself?" Henry shook his head. "I didn't do any of this. Someone is setting me up." Paul leaned back in his chair. "Your business partner, John Carter, has corroborated your wife's claims. He says he noticed unusual transactions in the company's accounts and suspected you were siphoning money." Henry's fists clenched. "John? He's lying. He's the only other person with access to those accounts." Paul raised an eyebrow. "So you're saying John framed you?" "Yes." Henry exhaled sharply. "And this woman, Diana Smith, I don't even know her. Someone planted those messages and photos." Paul studied him for a long moment. "Here's the thing, Mr. Williams. Your wife is a well-respected lawyer. She wouldn't make these accusations lightly." Henry's heart ached at the mention of Mercy. "I love my wife. I would never cheat on her. But she's being manipulated." Paul sighed. "I'll be honest with you. Given the strength of the evidence and the testimonies from your wife and your business partner, the court has denied your bail request." Henry felt like the air had been sucked out of his lungs. "You can't be serious." Paul's expression softened slightly. "I suggest you prepare for trial. You'll need a damn good lawyer to prove your innocence." Henry closed his eyes. He had never felt so helpless. Back at home, Mercy sat on the couch, staring at the news report on TV. Renowned businessman Henry Williams has been arrested following allegations of fraud and infidelity. His wife, Mercy Williams, a respected lawyer, filed the charges earlier today. She turned the TV off. Her hands trembled slightly as she placed the remote down. She had done it. Henry was in jail. So why didn't she feel as victorious as she had expected? Lucy sat beside her, watching her carefully. "Mercy, are you okay?" Mercy forced a smile. "Of course. I did what I had to do." Lucy hesitated. "Then why do you look like you just lost something important?" Mercy's throat tightened. "Because I did." She stood up, walking toward the window. The city lights twinkled below, but they offered no comfort. She had loved Henry with everything she had. And now, he was gone. Her chest ached, but she pushed the pain down. She had done the right thing. Hadn't she? Meanwhile, in a private suite at a luxurious hotel, John Carter poured 2 glasses of champagne and handed one to Diana Smith. "To a job well done," he said with a smirk. Diana clinked her glass against his and took a sip. "I must say, John, you play dirty." John chuckled. "Henry had it coming. He took everything from me, success, money, even the woman I wanted. Now, it's all crashing down around him." Diana tilted her head. "And what about Mercy? She'll figure out the truth eventually." John shrugged. "By the time she does, it'll be too late. Henry will be ruined, and I'll be there to pick up the pieces." Diana smirked. "You're a dangerous man, John Carter." John took another sip of his drink, his eyes gleaming. "And that's exactly why I always win." The city hummed with life as the days passed, but for Henry Williams, time moved painfully slow behind bars. Meanwhile, outside, the truth was beginning to unravel, one piece at a time. Detective Paul Johnson sat in his office, staring at the files in front of him. Something didn't add up. The evidence against Henry seemed airtight, but there were too many coincidences, too many perfect pieces falling into place. He picked up the phone and dialed. "Officer Tunde, I need you to run a deeper check on Diana Smith. Find out where she's been the past 6 months, her employment history, anything that stands out." "Understood, sir. I'll get back to you soon," the officer responded. Paul sighed and leaned back in his chair. If Henry was truly guilty, then why did it feel like the pieces of the puzzle had been arranged too neatly? Lucy had always supported Mercy, but something about this situation didn't sit right with her. She had been doing some digging of her own, and the more she looked into it, the more suspicious John Carter seemed. That evening, she decided to visit his office under the pretense of discussing the case. John, ever the smooth talker, welcomed her with a charming smile. "Lucy, to what do I owe the pleasure?" he asked, gesturing for her to sit. Lucy gave him a tight smile. "I just wanted to ask a few questions. Mercy has been struggling with everything, and I thought you might have some insight." John leaned back in his chair. "Of course. Anything to help Mercy through this tough time." Lucy studied him. "You and Henry have been business partners for years, right?" John nodded. "Since university days. And you were the one who provided financial evidence of his fraud." John smirked. "I had to. As a businessman, I couldn't let Henry's reckless actions ruin our company." Lucy's stomach twisted. "You seem very certain of his guilt." John's expression darkened slightly. "Lucy, I know it's hard to accept, but Henry betrayed Mercy. He betrayed us all." Lucy forced a laugh. "Funny thing, though. I had a forensic accountant review the financial statements. The irregular transactions started only after Henry was arrested, which means someone else is tampering with company funds." John's face flickered with something, annoyance, anger, but he recovered quickly. "I don't know what you're implying, Lucy." Lucy stood, leaning forward. "I think you set Henry up, and I'm going to prove it." She turned and walked out, her heart pounding. John watched her leave, his jaw tightening. She was getting too close. Mercy sat in her office, flipping through the documents of Henry's case. For the first time since his arrest, doubt crept into her mind. The way Henry had looked at her that night, the raw pain in his eyes, refused to leave her thoughts. Her phone rang. It was Lucy. "Mercy, I need to see you." "It's urgent," Lucy said. Mercy hesitated but finally agreed. An hour later, Lucy sat across from her, her expression serious. "Mercy, you made a mistake," Lucy said softly. Mercy's breath caught. "What are you talking about?" Lucy leaned forward. "John has been manipulating you. The financial fraud? It was all orchestrated after Henry was arrested. I have proof." Mercy's hands trembled. That can't be." Lucy sighed. "And Diana? Her story is full of holes. There's no hospital record of her giving birth to that child, and no official paternity test linking the baby to Henry." Mercy felt dizzy. Could she really have been so blind? "Mercy, listen to me," Lucy continued. "You were played." Tears welled in Mercy's eyes. "What have I done?" Detective Paul was already on Diana's trail when the most unexpected thing happened. She disappeared. Her apartment was abandoned, her phone disconnected. But Paul found something interesting in her empty flat, a hidden envelope addressed to Mercy. Inside was a single note. "I was paid to lie. Forgive me. D." Paul wasted no time. He grabbed his phone and called Mercy. "Mrs. Williams, I need to see you immediately." Mercy rushed to the police station, her heart in her throat. When Paul handed her the note, she felt her world shatter all over again. She had sent her husband to jail based on lies. "I need to fix this," she whispered, gripping the paper tightly. Paul nodded. "Then you need to start with the man who orchestrated it all." Mercy stormed into John Carter's office, her fury barely contained. John looked up, surprised. "Mercy, what a pleasant surprise," he said smoothly. "Cut the act," Mercy snapped, throwing the letter onto his desk. "Diana is gone. She left this behind." John's expression didn't change, but she saw something flicker in his eyes. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said coolly. Mercy stepped closer. "You framed Henry, didn't you? You set him up because you were jealous of him. You wanted everything he had, his success, his company." She swallowed hard. "Me?" John's smirk returned. "And what if I did?" Mercy's breath hitched. "You ruined my life. You made me betray the man I love." John leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "And what are you going to do about it?" Mercy's eyes burned with determination. "I'm going to expose you." John chuckled. "Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. Do you really think anyone will believe you? You were the one who filed the charges. You were the one who turned against Henry." Mercy clenched her fists. "Watch me." John's smirk faltered as Mercy stormed out of his office. For the first time, he realized he might have underestimated her. Mercy couldn't sleep. Guilt ate at her like a disease, twisting her insides with every breath she took. She had made the worst mistake of her life. She had destroyed the man she loved. Now, she had to fix it. Mercy and Lucy sat in the dimly lit office of Detective Paul Johnson. The weight of what they were about to do hung heavy in the air. Paul leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "I've compiled enough evidence to prove Henry was framed," he said, pushing a folder toward Mercy. "Financial records show the fraudulent transactions were initiated after Henry was arrested. That means someone else was behind them." Mercy swallowed hard. "John." Paul nodded. John Carter was the only one with access to those accounts after Henry's arrest. The transactions were transferred into offshore accounts under a fake identity, an identity we traced back to John. Lucy scoffed. "I knew that Snake was behind this." Paul continued. "And then there's Diana. We tracked her last known movements before she disappeared. Turns out, she received multiple large deposits, also traced back to John." Mercy's hands trembled. "He paid her to lie." Paul nodded. "Now, we just need to get him before he vanishes for good." John Carter sat in a private lounge at the airport, sipping his whiskey. His fake passport and ticket were tucked securely in his jacket pocket. He smirked to himself. By the time anyone realized he was gone, he'd be untouchable. Just as he was about to stand, a firm hand gripped his shoulder. "Going somewhere, Mr. Carter?" John turned, his face paling as he came face to face with Detective Paul and two officers. "Detective," John said smoothly, forcing a smile. "This is a misunderstanding." Paul chuckled. "Right. Because innocent men always try to flee the country with fake passports and stolen money." The officers grabbed John's arms and cuffed him. "You have the right to remain silent," one of them recited. John struggled. "You're making a mistake." Paul shook his head. "No, you made the mistake when you framed Henry Williams. And now, you're going to pay for it." As they dragged John away, the weight of his downfall finally hit him. He had lost. The courtroom was packed. The media had latched onto the case, and now, everyone was watching. Mercy sat at the witness stand, her heart pounding as she faced the judge. "Mrs. Williams," the judge said, "you filed the original charges against your husband. Are you now saying those charges were false?" Tears welled in Mercy's eyes. "Yes, Your Honor. I was deceived. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was manipulated by John Carter. I had no idea Henry was innocent." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. The judge's expression was unreadable. "You understand the severity of your actions?" Mercy's voice broke. "Yes. And I will live with that guilt for the rest of my life." She turned toward Henry, who sat at the defense table, his face unreadable. "Henry, I am so sorry. I let my anger and pride destroy us. I didn't listen to you. I didn't believe in you. And that was my biggest mistake." Henry's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Mercy took a shaky breath. "I beg you, please forgive me." The room fell silent. The judge cleared his throat. Based on the new evidence, the court finds no grounds for the accusations against Mr. Henry Williams. All charges are dropped, and he is free to go. The gavel hit the wood. It was over. Outside the courthouse, Mercy stood nervously as Henry stepped out of the building, finally a free man. She took a hesitant step forward. "Henry." He turned to look at her. His eyes, once filled with warmth, were now cold and distant. "You did it," he said. "You cleared my name." Mercy nodded, tears streaming down her face. "But I destroyed your life first." Henry exhaled sharply. "You didn't just destroy my life, Mercy. You destroyed us." She reached for him, but he took a step back. The distance between them felt wider than ever. "Henry, please," she whispered. "I love you." He let out a bitter laugh. "You loved me. You believed I was guilty without even listening to me. You let another man convince you that I was a monster." Mercy sobbed. "I know. I was wrong. But please, tell me, can we fix this?" Henry looked at her for a long moment. Finally, he said, "I don't know, Mercy." And then he walked away, leaving Mercy standing there, broken. The days after Henry's release felt like a blur for Mercy. The weight of guilt never left her, and the pain in Henry's eyes haunted her every moment. She had fought to clear his name, but now she faced a different battle, rebuilding the trust she had shattered. But was it too late? Mercy knocked hesitantly on the door of their home, his home now. Henry had moved back, but the warmth that once filled the house was gone. After a few seconds, the door swung open. Henry stood there, his face unreadable. "Henry, can we talk?" Mercy asked softly. He hesitated before stepping aside, letting her in. She walked in slowly, her heart aching at how unfamiliar everything felt now. Henry crossed his arms. "What do you want, Mercy?" She swallowed hard. "I want to fix this. I want to fix us." Henry let out a bitter chuckle. "Fix us? Mercy, you put me in jail. Do you even realize what that did to me? Do you know what it feels like to be locked up for a crime you didn't commit, knowing the person you love the most is the reason why?" Tears welled up in Mercy's eyes. "I know, Henry. And I hate myself for it. I let my anger blind me. I should have trusted you." Henry sighed, rubbing his forehead. "But you didn't." "I was wrong," she whispered. "And I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. But I need you to know that I love you, and I will do whatever it takes to make things right." Henry studied her, his expression conflicted. "I don't know if I can trust you again, Mercy." Her heart clenched. "Please, don't say that." "I'm not saying it to hurt you. I'm saying it because it's the truth," he said. "You broke something between us, and I don't know if it can ever be repaired." Silence filled the room, thick and painful. Finally, Henry exhaled. "I need time." Mercy nodded, her tears falling freely now. "I'll wait for as long as it takes." But deep down, she feared, what if time wasn't enough? Across town, the courtroom was packed once again, but this time, it was John Carter standing trial. The once powerful businessman was now in handcuffs, his face a mask of defiance. The judge's voice echoed through the room. "John Carter, you have been found guilty of fraud, perjury, and conspiracy to wrongfully imprison Henry Williams. You are hereby sentenced to 20 years in federal prison." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. John smirked, shaking his head. "Mercy," he called out from the defendant's table, his voice dripping with mockery. She turned to look at him, her jaw clenched. "How does it feel knowing that you were the one who made it so easy for me?" he taunted. Mercy's hands curled into fists, but Henry stepped forward, standing between her and John. "You're done, John," Henry said coldly. "Enjoy your time in prison." As the guards dragged John away, his laughter echoed through the hall. But Mercy knew, his power was gone. And this time, justice had won. After the trial, Detective Paul called Mercy and Henry to the station. They sat across from him, waiting. "I wanted you both to hear this from me first," Paul said, placing a file on the table. "We finally found Diana." Mercy's breath hitched. "Where is she?" "She fled the city, but we tracked her down. She confessed everything," Paul said. He opened the file, showing a signed statement. Henry leaned forward. "What did she say?" Paul sighed. "John paid her to lie about the affair. But here's the part that might shock you. Diana never even had a child." Mercy's eyes widened. "What?" "There was never a baby. John fabricated everything, the fake paternity test, the false medical records. Diana played along because she was desperate for money," Paul explained. Henry clenched his fists. "So it was all a lie?" Paul nodded. "Every single part of it." Mercy felt sick. She had destroyed her marriage over something that never even existed. "I don't know if this makes anything better," Paul added, "but Diana claims she regrets what she did. She said John threatened her when she wanted to back out." Mercy shook her head. "That doesn't erase what she did." Henry stood abruptly. "I've heard enough." Mercy followed him outside, watching as he took deep breaths, trying to contain his emotions. "I don't even know what to feel anymore," he admitted. Mercy reached for his hand but stopped herself. "I know. And I understand if you need time to figure it out." Henry didn't respond. And that silence hurt more than anything. That night, Mercy stood by the window of her apartment, staring out at the city lights. She had spent so long thinking she was fighting for justice, only to realize she had been fighting the wrong battle all along. Her phone vibrated. It was a message from Henry. "I need space to think. Please don't wait up for me." Tears slipped down her cheeks. Would he ever forgive her? Or had she lost him forever? She didn't know. And maybe, neither did he. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to get more interesting stories like this.